The Biden team, I think, will support both the end to the rift and will continue to support the idea of rapprochement with Iran. What we think is happening is that Iran is doing things like ramping up enrichment, harassing ships like this South Korean ship, because it wants to be in a better negotiating position when Biden comes to the table to talk about the nuclear deal. It wants to be in a better place to walk itself back from. So 20% enrichment is about 90% of what they need for weaponized uranium, which is a problem, but they can easily agree to drop that down to Biden, and it looks like a favor to him. They can easily agree not to release tankers. You notice that by picking on a South Korean ship, they're avoiding picking on a ship that's EU flagged because they know the EU is the voice in Biden's ear saying, please seek this rapprochement with Iran. And they're avoiding picking on a ship that is, let's say, Chinese flagged or carrying Chinese goods, and that would risk aligning Chinese interests with U.S. interests and therefore putting Iran in a tough position. So being very strategic about the ships they're choosing to harass, and they have done this before as well. For instance, when they took into account when they took the position on the Norwegian tanker, choosing a ship that was not an EU member state, for instance. So they think about this carefully, but the risk they're taking here is that there are Israeli voices also talking to the current administration saying, this is the kind of behavior you can't risk having continue. You need to take action against both Iran's nuclear facilities and against the IRGC naval bases on the coast of Iran that are enabling this kind of harassment in these critical straits.
Hi, Kirsten. It's Matt here in Singapore joining the conversation. Do you think that the Trump administration's key legacy will be the wins that it had in the Middle East over, of course, the last 4 years when it comes to Israel and, of course, now Qatar as well?
I think that's the plan, this full court press we've seen on several issues to include normalization with the Abraham Accords and the resolution of the rift. It may happen in the last few minutes of the game, but they are legitimate foreign policy wins, and they are positions that the Biden administration will support going forward and will try to continue to build upon. So they really will write this in as the foreign policy legacy, and it's lucky. The Middle East is lucky that it hosts these because we haven't seen a lot of foreign policy wins in other regions of the world.